Hello, my name is Molly Yanis, and I am the founder of Echo Consulting. We are a project management solutions company. And today I'm going to do a quick overview of the architecture of Control Center, which is an add on to one of our favorite project management systems, Smartsheet. So we've had a lot of clients in the last year or so implementing project management offices, PMO, for better cross-project visibility, cross-organization visibility, really improve some of the accountability of who's owning what's going on, as well as just really reducing friction in your organization, some of which has been caused by rapid growth, some of which has been caused by hybrid work environments and other things going on as well. But anyways, we have been implementing PMOs, and Smartsheet is a great project management office tool. But when you start talking about projects like over 50 active projects, especially, we find the need to really have a stricter governance platform, and that's where Control Center comes in. I do want to clarify up front that we implement PMOs in Smartsheet both with and without Control Center. In today's video, I'm specifically going to be talking about the architecture of Control Center, and this is going to be the first video of several video series that have been requested by multiple clients in terms of the high level overview of Control Center and how it's set up, but then also we'll be going into in future videos specific configuration of a new blueprint and updates to an existing blueprint, as well as global updates to keep the projects up to date and the data correct. So for right now, if you view my screen, I have a quick architecture diagram that one of our consultants, Kiefer, recently set up for a client. And basically, in this architecture, what you'll see is that there is an intake sheet that moves data to Control Center, which is like a governance add-on for Smartsheet that allows us to replicate a series of different assets. So whether that is a sheet or a dashboard or reports, and create multiple different versions. So these are all project instances of these templates. But then what's really cool about this is they are able to talk to each other, and if there is a change in your process or a change in your statuses or something like that, you're able to do something that's called global updates, where you can update multiple projects at the same time. And what's really cool is that you can update all of the projects that have been created through this Control Center blueprint, or you can update just specific projects through this. So this is great. So let me start from the beginning. The intake sheet is not required, but we always recommend one for Control Center. The intake sheet typically includes a list of all of the different projects and ideas and initiatives or goals or whatever you have, right? That need to be prioritized and agreed on. Sometimes there's a steering committee. I have other videos on setting up a PMO, like from a process standpoint, and the roles and responsibilities. But for today, I'm going to talk about the architecture. So we have an intake sheet that has all the different projects. At some point, the project has been authorized, right? It's been approved. It is ready to be assigned and to, hit go and hit into the real planning phase, right? And during that time, you want to set up all the tools that the project team are going to need to be successful in managing that project and the delivery of that project, as well as be able to provide visibility to all of the stakeholders, including the executive leadership team, the senior leadership team, or the stakeholder, the senior leadership team steering committee, but also the doers of the project, the task owners, the different teams that are going to be impacted by the project. Maybe you have outside vendors. There's a lot of different people that might be involved in different projects, and you want them to be able to have the right visibility. So, in terms of creating the right views and the right data and everything like that, that's all within this template toolkit, right? These are all the different assets that we create in Smartsheet. So that's kind of a different piece. But once you have those templates and you want to be able to replicate them out every time a new project gets stood up, that's where Control Center comes in, right? So this intake, the project is approved to move forward. We provision it, which means basically create all these assets here for this new project, and then go ahead and use your project plan and your dashboards and things like that. The cool part is that this pulls information from all of the different projects that have been set up through this blueprint and summarizes them in a summary sheet, updates the intake sheet with some information, and can do dynamic reports. So if you've been in Smartsheet for a while, you might have run into a situation where you had more than 250 sheets or reports or something that you were looking at, right? And you get this little notice being like, oh, we only maxed out in the first 250 projects or 250 sheets, right? Dynamic scope report does a couple of cool things. The first thing is that it allows you to pick a single asset or a couple of assets that go into this dynamic scope report. And so it doesn't have to look at everything. And you don't have to pick only look at this and go through and click after it's provisioned. This automatically provisions it so you can have specific reports. The summary sheets are where you kind of link all the projects together. So this is a great for program views, portfolio views, kind of cross project views. And usually we recommend at least one summary sheet, but I actually usually like to break it out into 2 or 3, just to make it easier to manage and things like that. So I might have a summary sheet that is all focused on budget KPIs and budget metrics, and I might have another sheet that is all focused on risk management, change management, components like that, and then another one that is project task information, resourcing, or something like that. So you can actually have as many summary sheets as you want. I definitely recommend at least one. One of the other things that I think Smartsheet typically does when they implement Control Center is they kind of actually like move the data source from intake to the summary sheet. We actually like having the information updated in the intake sheet as well so that we keep that and you can see the projects that are in progress, but also the projects that are potentially coming in, ideas, etc. So we like to have that single source of record. And what's important with that is you don't want to be able, you want to make sure you have a single source of record and it's the same information. So you're only updating it in one place. So that's really important. That's where all these blues and greens and all that other stuff. So that's that program dashboard I mentioned and the portfolio dashboard. They typically pull from summary sheets and dynamic scope reports. Usually there's dashboards that are project specific that are listed here. One of the things I want to mention, if you implemented Control Center through Smartsheet maybe 2 years ago or so, you were still paying for Control Center for blueprint, like per blueprint, right? Recently, well, not recently anymore, at least a year ago, Smartsheet implemented a new kind of platform package for enterprise, which is called Smartsheet Advance. Now, Smartsheet Advance allows you to have all access to all their different add-ons. So you can have Control Center. You can also have their built-out integrator for Jira or Salesforce if you have it. It also lets you have some of their add-on apps like dynamic views and calendar and a lot of their other components that we really like. The one piece I will mention is that Smartsheet is still working on getting everything integrated all together. So while they did allow the opportunity to now build out work apps, at a project level as part of a blueprint and as part of a toolkit, uh, they haven't yet done it for example, calendar app or dynamic view or something like that. So if you are using those add-ons, do be aware that right now the only one that they're really doing is work apps. But we have some workarounds and other ideas, etc. So again, I just want to summarize. So Control Center or Echo Consulting and my team, we do a lot of implementation of project management offices. So the concept is better visibility across projects, across teams, what's going on, who's accountable for what are the trends, like how do you be more proactive in managing the whole host of projects you have. Also, as an organization, you've got to pivot quickly. A new project might take priority over another one. How do you manage that across? So Control Center is a fantastic PMO governance tool that allows you to standardize data sets, create a single toolkit and roll it out and be able to manage across projects, okay? Now, we also do implement without Control Center, but typically those are teams that have maybe, I usually say, depending on how complex the project and toolkit is, like less than 30 to 50 projects. You probably don't necessarily need Control Center yet if you don't have Advanced because it is a more expensive add-on. But if you're talking more than 50 active projects at a time, like Control Center is totally saving a ton of time. What we see is that people get Smartsheet and they get really excited and they basically use it like Excel on steroids. But then it kind of gets discombobulated, and they're no longer able to really roll up and see the KPIs, see the metrics, and see how the whole portfolio is going, because everyone's kind of been cowboy out west, done their own thing for each of their own projects. With this, you can have a standard toolkit. And if you needed to, you can make global updates to all the toolkits that were created through this blueprint. Okay. So again, Molly Yanis, Echo Consulting. We do offer consulting services. I know this is shocking information, but we offer packages and or hourly consulting to configure Control Center, configure blueprints, to stand up PMOs, to consult on some best practices for data architecture and solution architecture, so that you can really feel confident that you have the foundation for continuous scaling and transparency in your organization. So if you're interested, please reach out, echoprojectmanagement.com, or you can set up a initial free consult to review where you are currently. Thank you so much. And do subscribe to our channel, because we're going to be rolling out at least 2 or 3 more videos in the next couple of weeks on Control Center specifically, and rolling out PMOs via Control Center. So thank you so much. Bye.